my Japan Diaries from a trip I took in April. This trip was full of new experiences and moments I wish I could go back to. I hope you enjoyed this video and feel all the butterflies I felt while there. When we arrived in Tokyo, it was late. We were hungry and tired, yet buzzing with excitement at the same time. We dropped our bags off at the Airbnb and headed straight into the town of Akasaka. We also saw our first cherry blossom tree of the trip, and the location was quite special, however we didn't really know until the last night there. Immediately I was thrown into a culture shock. The lights, the sounds, the language barrier, it was all so different as one can imagine stepping into a new country. But the rush of excitement quickly took over. We soon found a gyoza restaurant that prided itself as the best in Osaka. So we grabbed a table and enjoyed our first meal in Tokyo. The gyozas and soup dumplings were so delicious and they warmed us up. We ate and chatted about our plans for the trip and decided that we would see where each day took us. Look, that's the most exciting thing about travelling, the spontaneous adventures that lie ahead. And no night would be complete without a trip to 7-Eleven. Choosing which ice cream and snacks to have each night soon became our favourite ritual for all of us. Day 2 is when it really hit me that we were in Japan. We were all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, so we decided to check out the local area by day and start our hunt for coffee. We walked along the Chiyoda Gafuchi moat, taking in the beautiful gardens that lined it. After only finding a Starbucks open, we headed back towards our Airbnb and found a cafe that was serving not only coffee, but French pastries too. Strange, I know, but the strawberry shortcake I had was so delicious. After breakfast, we headed to Shibuya, and holy moly, I've never seen so many people, or so many digital signs in fact. We headed straight into the crowds to explore the city. Everywhere you looked, there were advertisements and cute jingles that played as we passed each store. We shopped around and got so dizzy navigating through the shopping malls. Going 8 stories up, only to realise each level was the same, and all consisted of a sweet treat shop that seemed to get harder to resist each level. Of course, we had to try some of them. After walking around in circles, we were so hungry and tired given our early start, so we quickly found somewhere to eat and reset. Here I have my first taste of the ramen life, and let me tell you, it was better than I could have ever imagined. I am hooked. Fueled up, we headed straight to the mother of all shops, Donkey. This place was insane. Aisle after aisle, floor after floor, this place never ended. So, drained and exhausted, we headed back to the Airbnb to try some of our macarons and take a good old nap. Re-energized again, we headed out to the New York bar in Shinjuku. If you've ever seen Lost in Translation, then you know how excited I was to be here. 52 floors above the city, we took in the amazing view. And only then is when I realised that Tokyo is in fact much, much larger than Sydney. We enjoyed whiskey sours, white wines, and the sound of a live jazz band playing. This night was really one of my favourites. The atmosphere, the excitement of a new city, and the elegance of the bar itself really set the mood for the rest of the trip. After a few drinks, we headed to Shibuya and found ourselves tucked away in this little whiskey bar. The owner made us some drinks and we chatted away about the highlights of our day so far, all while James sprinkled in some whiskey knowledge here and there. For dinner, we headed into the main strip of Shibuya, which is like their version of Times Square. And look, I've never been to Times Square before, but if it's anything like this, then damn, that's crazy! There was so much to look at. Fried chicken there, Godzilla there, people trying to sell you karaoke booths, which, to be honest, all they had to do was hand me a microphone and I'd be in. We ended up at a pork cutlet place, which despite the looks was seriously delicious. And as one should, we all tried a bit of wasabi. Jess, as you can see, absolutely loved it. Full and tired, we headed back to call it a night. After a 7-Eleven stop, of course. Day 3, we got up relatively early again and found our new favourite coffee shop just down the road from my Airbnb. As we let the coffee kick in, we decided that we'd go to Ginza today and do some more shopping. Before heading off, we stumbled upon this temple and saw a beautiful cherry blossom in bloom. After shopping through the streets of Ginza, we found this underground food market that had every single food you could imagine. Here we brought some onigiri and headed back to our Airbnb to try it. 10 out of 10, delicious. We also got these custard-filled teddy bears that I will forever dream about. We really did shop till we dropped this day and all eventually passed out for a midday nap. I'd love to blame it on the jet lag, but having it only been an hour behind Australia only meant we should have had more energy, if anything. As night fell, we ventured into the city of Akasaka and found another whiskey bar to start off our night. We then roamed the streets looking for somewhere to eat, only to find this sushi and all-you-can-drink highballs restaurant tucked away on the second floor. The owner was so nice and had perfect English, it almost sounded like he learned of Siri. We were the only ones in the restaurant, so we enjoyed the quietness from the hustle and bustle of the streets. We enjoyed this delicious sashimi and an array of side dishes. We finished the night with fresh strawberries from the fruit shop down the road. Day 4, we found ourselves back at our favourite coffee shop, enjoying the laid-back atmosphere to ease ourselves into our day. As we waited for everything to open at 11 AM, Jess and I explored the area of Akasaka and found a Hogwarts-inspired train station that was decked out with house banners and the Hogwarts film score playing as you entered down the grand staircase. This was such a fun find and truly felt like I was part of the movie. We continued to explore the beautiful streets and alleyways that were full of cherry blossoms and secret parks and gardens. No wonder we walked 5k that morning. You honestly don't realise as you're just too busy looking around each corner and discovering a new path. Oh, it's so cute. I wanted to take this baby home so badly. Walking around it kind of felt like a GTA map, minus the whole mugging and stealing cars kind of thing, you know. More of the open world map vibe. After heading down one street, we found this temple in the middle of a busy neighbourhood, and suddenly we were transported into this quiet, tranquil garden that led to multiple shrines deep within the gardens that surrounded it. Everything was green and lush. We took in the quietness and the beauty of the morning sun shining in, lighting up the little gardens within. When we headed back down to the main road, Jess sees these huge stairs leading to the unknown, so of course she says, we must climb them. The unknown happened to be another temple situated above the city of Akasaka. Everything was so perfect here, from the brightly painted red trims of the temple to the pebble paths. The team from Grand Designs would have had a field day here. Tired and hungry, we headed back to the Airbnb, passing through the beloved 7-Eleven of course, and we picked up some mid-morning snacks. We had these heavenly pancakes, which I know sound plain Jane, but I don't know what they put in them because they were the best pancakes I've ever had. Full and ready to explore again, we hopped on a train to Kitazawa, which is known as the thrifter's heaven. And look, it was heaven, but only if you, were blessed with an abundance of money. So we decided to take a break and had some ramen to regain confidence that maybe we were just looking in the wrong shops. So back we went, ducking in and out of vintage style shops. We even came across a shop that was decked out in old Barbies that we used to have as kids. Each store was definitely aesthetically pleasing, and yes, I did wish my wardrobe one day consisted of these unique pieces, but unfortunately that day was not today. One can dream. Fast forward to dinner and we enjoyed some pork cutlets with a cheesy scrambled egg on top. Again, 10 out of 10. We then found this hidden little whiskey bar on the third story that had a large and quite spectacular range of whiskies on offer. And as a whiskey enthusiast myself, I went for a classy highball. No, I'm just joking, I have no clue about whiskey. Luckily for us, James explained the price points of each whiskey and their relevance, which gave me a great perspective on what a bang for a buck he was getting for each drink he ordered. And without fail, we were back at 7-Eleven where I found my new favourite ice cream, caramel ice cream cookie sandwich. Say no more. Day 5, and the most important day of them all, was my birthday. Kayla had pre-written me a birthday card which I brought with me to open. As usual, it was decorated and written to perfection and consisted of cute little photos she had printed out. Thank you, Kayla! This morning we decided to go to a cafe that had these souffle pancakes displayed on their window, and while they were delicious, they were small, so we breakfast hopped to literally the cafe next door and had a second breakfast consisting of the most golden waffle you've ever seen. After breakfast, we decided that we'd do a train roulette, where we'd hop on a random train and get off at a random stop. The stop I had chosen, however, didn't have much around, so we got back on and rode the train to the previous stop, as we'd seen a huge roller coaster and Ferris wheel there. This place was insane. It felt like one of those shopping centres that get featured on a YouTube video titled, "The Top 10 Craziest Shopping Centres of the World." It literally had a roller coaster built into the mall. It was so windy here that we headed for shelter and found this cool arcade place. And this is where our money disappeared. As soon as Jess locked eyes onto this Miffy claw game, it was game over. Try after try, this Miffy light did not want to budge, but neither did we. Unfortunately, Miffy won, or more so we got so angry that we had to walk away. We tried our luck with some more claw games, only to come to the same outcome. Now, I know when you're in a different country you should keep to their cuisine, but as soon as I saw these garlic prawns, I was not having anything else for lunch but that. So Jess and I had lunch at Bubba Gump's, which for whatever reason was at this random mini theme park in Tokyo, but I wasn't complaining, it was delicious. We then ventured back into the arcade and tried out the photo booths. Now these photo booths were next level. They had mirrors to fix your appearance before the photos, they then had this editing station to apply makeup to the photos and enlarge any feature you wished. It was crazy, but fun, so of course we had to do it again. And they came out so cute! We then got some popcorn from this vending machine and then made our way to the Big O, which was the world's first Ferris wheel with no centre. The views from here were so amazing, and we really didn't realise how high we'd actually be above the city. At the top we pointed out places we'd been to and familiar landmarks. Once back on solid ground, we tried our first matcha of the trip. It was interesting. It kind of tasted like soil. I'm not sure about the hype on it, but I'm willing to be convinced in the future. Once back in Akasaka, we found a brewery where I mistakenly ordered a huge jug of highball, which very much went straight to my head. But hey, it's my birthday. We then went to a fried chicken restaurant and dived into delicious fried chicken, which paired perfectly with my highball. We then somehow found our way downstairs to this little French wine bar, where we chatted and laughed with the owner about our travels, and he shared the stories and the history of the wine he served us. Jess then asked about dessert and slipped in that it was my birthday, and the next thing you know, this lovely old Frenchman was bringing me a slice of rich chocolate cake while singing happy birthday. We then stumbled into the local 7-Eleven, deciding our ice cream of choice before passing out for the night. It was truly a birthday night to remember. It's day 6 and we are back at our little cafe down the road. This morning they put out an apple pie slice that looked too good to pass, so you know I got a slice of that bad boy. Today we went to Chiyoda to explore. The only way I can explain this city was that it reminded me of the capital from the Hunger Games. Not because of how everyone dressed, but the cleanliness and the structure of the gardens and buildings. Tell me you don't see snow run in this place. We walked to the Imperial Palace and then through the Kokoyo-gang National Gardens that look so perfect. Jess then wanted to try this French bakery called Monsieur Diabrieux, which basically translates to House of Butter. And look, they weren't wrong. The strong smell of fresh croissants, warm pastries tempted us as we waited in line. Around the corner we found a little courtyard where we enjoyed our carefully chosen pastries while basking in the morning sun. After we were full of buttery pastries, we made our way to the main streets of Chiyoda to explore the well-known 8-story arcade buildings. This place was so fun but so full on. made our way through the streets and explored the many gachapon stores, only to end up again at the arcade where we became victimised by one of the many Miffy claw games. In rage, we left again, empty-handed. But nothing fixes a sore ego than food, so for lunch we stopped at a ramen and gyoza place. I maybe forgot to film the rest of the day, but for dinner we had the most amazing katsu curry, and like always, a 7-Eleven dessert. Day 7 was our last full day, and we were determined to make it memorable. First stop, as always, was coffee from our local spot. Then we headed straight onto the train to Harajuku. We stopped to check out this little hole-in-the-wall coffee shop before making our way to the famous shopping strip of Harajuku. I'd seen so many videos about this one strip and was so excited to see it in person. From gachapon stores to kawaii dresses, there was so much to unpack here. For lunch we were lucky enough to get a table at Kuro Sushi, which was one of the well-known sushi train style restaurants here in Harajuku. We had our own little booth where we could either order from the iPad or grab dishes straight off the train. Once our dishes were ordered, they'd come speeding through on a top conveyor belt and stop exactly at a table. I'm still amazed how the sushi didn't go flying 2 tables down when it stopped. After you ate 5 plates, you were able to play a game on the iPad for a chance to win a gachapon. Unfortunately, we lost both times. We then did some more shopping, sifting through vintage and souvenir stores. Before we left, we tried the famous sugar glazed strawberries, which was so sweet and so delicious. We found ourselves back at the brewery for pre-dinner drinks and chatted about our favourite things from the trip. We also ordered these chips that came smoked in a bag, which was a shock to us when we opened it because the smoke started escaping and we were like, what? They were actually quite nice though. As it was our last night, James insisted I try Wagyu beef, and after a quick Google search he found one close to where we were staying, which turned out to be exactly where we saw our first cherry blossom the night we landed. It was a full circle moment. This restaurant was so amazing, and I don't think I'll ever forget this experience or this night. We were seated in our own private room and we chose to have the chef's set menu for the night. First, the amuse was Wagyu sashimi ham, which was amazing, and I expect every Christmas ham to taste like this from now on. For the appetizer we had brisket sashimi, steamed tomato and a smoked salmon sashimi. We were then served a cold pasta dish, which was like a fancy spaghetti bolognese. The soup of the day was next, which was minestrone soup. Then the main came out, and holy moly. It was a kiln-baked Kobe beef steak, and I died right there and then. I didn't know steak could taste so good. It had a garlic butter foam that just melted once you placed it on top. It also had a side of garlic steamed rice. We were all entranced by eating the steak. For dessert, we had matcha ice cream and jelly, which was the perfect palate cleanser with a rose tea to finish. Like any sophisticated people after an amazing 5-star meal, we went to 7-Eleven, for old time's sake. It was such an incredible and special night that really sealed the trip up perfectly. And just like that, we have come to day 8. It was a cold, rainy day, and Tokyo seemed to be crying like we were. To finish tradition, we had one last coffee at our favourite cafe as we took in the last details of the place before heading back to the Airbnb to pack our bags. We dropped our bags off at a bag mining station and roamed the streets in search for food. We were cold, tired and wet, so we were really looking for anywhere just to sit down and eat a warm meal. We eventually found a little restaurant where we had our own room again. Here we enjoyed our last meal in Tokyo. A couple hours later, we were flying home. What an incredible trip and the best company. Sounds cliche, but I truly won't forget this trip, and that's all owed to Jess and James, so thank you.